Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. Hope you're doing well. It's February the 17th, 2020, and I have mentioned this before in several videos about how fast time seems like it's going, right? And I usually do it in reference to what I'm about to talk about, and in this video it's no different, but it just seems like, an hour and a half ago I was thinking that we're almost into 2020, and then it was like, oh my gosh, it's almost February, now we're almost March, and it's another day it's going to be like, whoa, we're almost into April, and did you get your taxes done? Taxes are due on the 15th of April here in the States, so if you're not living in the States, that's what I mean by that. But at the same time as how fast time seems like it's moving, when it comes to the progress of humanity, it does seem like humanity is moving at a absolute crawl, and even if we're moving at all, right? And if you spend any time in Atlanta traffic, you know what I mean by this, but it almost seems like we're going so slowly, we're actually rolling backwards. So if you're ever stuck on traffic on 285 and it's really, really bad, it's, you're looking at the blades of grass and it's like, oh my gosh, I thought I just I just made it past this sign. Now it's like I'm behind the sign again, right? And I got to make it all the time back, got to go back and do it again. But yet, when it comes to certain things like saving our only planetary home, there has been a lot of regression, and we have to go back and do the steps that we've done before, maybe the last 20 years or so that have been removed. The legislation like the Kyoto Accord, right, is pretty much defunct, right? And so we were making progress slowly, but we were making progress. And then I know some presidential administrations here in the United States took time out of their busy day to dismantle all that stuff, so, we're kind of back to where we were, 30, 40 years ago, right? Now, I'm saying all this to say that there was a gentleman named Donald Orso Marso who commented on a video that I put up last year. And I do apologize. I like to, if I am going to respond to somebody's comment, do it a little quicker than I did. But I ran out of time myself this week. So I've been kind of strapped for time. So it does take me a while to put these videos up. I know it sounds like I just kind of throw it up and walk away, but I do put a lot of thought and effort into it. I just, I'm a jazz musician, so I do play jazz from time. I don't write everything out and read it, so. But this guy's name was Donald Orso Marso. And he is quoted as saying, "They've been saying this beep for 30 years. I saw Creme at NYU during the summer of '87 during harmonic convergence." And then he puts this in all caps, I guess for emphasis. "Nothing but nothing has happened. And the Calvary hasn't come. Stop the false hope. We have to save ourselves." Ironically, the video that he was responding to was a video that I had put up in reference to a Maitreya experience that I had right before Maitreya came on TV. Maitreya said to me, it was very important, but he said to me, he goes, "You'll see me on TV real soon, and we'll save the world together." Now, had this Donald Orso Marso, I wish his last name was Smith or something. I feel like I'm butchering his name, but had you taken time to really listen to the video, Maitreya actually kind of responds to this, or kind of addresses this concern, because he said we would change the world together. At no point did Maitreya say that, I will see him on TV real soon, and that will mean the Calvary has arrived. You just sit back and do nothing. I'm going to take care of everything for you. He didn't say that, now did he? Right? He said that we're going to change the world together. We have to do it. Every time Maitreya has given a message through Benjamin Creme, it's always been about humanity taking the steps, and humanity doing what it needs to do to solve these problems. Nobody can do it for us. Now, Maitreya has clearly laid out some simple steps. Let's say peace, for instance, which is his biggest priority. We have to create true and lasting peace, right? Now, 40-something years ago, he laid out some very simple steps that even a kindergartner could understand. That the first thing is we have to share the world's resources. And he said, without sharing, there could be no justice. Without justice, there could be no peace. And without peace, there could be no future. The future that we all are really longing for. True and lasting peace. Without the absence, not necessarily the absence of war or conflict, but without, true and lasting peace, really. Now, over the past 40 years, has humanity done anything about that? Well, no. right? What has the United States done, for instance? Well, attack this country without justification, put economic sanctions on that country and so forth. Had Maitreya said that that was the first step for peace, he would have said, without war, without justification, without putting sanctions on countries, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace. Without peace, there will be no future. Right? But he didn't say it like that, did he? There's an excess of resources in the world. Every country has an excess of resources. Some countries have more than others. And all we have to do is take the excesses that we have and give it freely to other countries and let them give it back to us, their excesses back to us and so forth as payment for those things, like a lease-lend kind of deal. And we've already done it at some point in our life. We did it historically. We did it right after World War II with the Marshall Plan. And it worked amazingly well, and the results of it and the seed and the fruit of that endeavor has lasted for decades, with us trusting the nations of Europe better than other nations and so forth. So if we just did it, we would see that it would actually change things, but we don't, right? And then you look at environmentally, right? Well, 50% of the people deny that there's even a problem. Unfortunately, those 50% of the people have elected leaders that believe the same thing that they believe and are reinforcing that thought that we don't need to do anything about it. But that's not Maitreya's fault. That's humanity's fault. Now, when this person says nothing but nothing has happened over the past 33 years, I don't agree with that at all. Lots happened. I mean, I can think of 3 good examples right away, right? Well, since the summer of '87, the Cold War's ended, Germany was unified, and the apartheid has ended in South Africa. So when you look at a map of Europe, it looks totally different than it did in the mid-'80s. So there's been a lot that's changed. Now, is it enough? No. We still got other stuff we got to do. That's not the end-all and be-all of progress of humanity, but at the same time, what has humanity done? Literally nothing, right? Now, the other thing, too, is when you see Maitreya on TV, which I know we all will, you'll be surprised at how relaxed he is in the face of these problems and how confident and how much faith he has in humanity that we will get through these things. Now, the other thing is, when we do finally all recognize Maitreya for Maitreya on the day of declaration, I'd be willing to bet you that the majority of us, when we see him, will say to ourselves, I've seen him on TV before. Maybe not remember where, right? But I've seen him talking. I've heard him speak on TV somewhere. Or there'd be a lot of people that, I've heard him many times on TV. But I didn't realize he was anybody, So I always use this as a for instance, but like, for instance, the Philippines, there was a volcanic explosion in the Philippines last month. Now, Maitreya knows the karmic reason for why that happened, and the cosmic reason why that happened. There's a reason why the volcanoes explode. They just don't arbitrarily explode, right? Now, had Benjamin Creme still been alive, he would probably say something like, oh, it's the karmic reason for this, or it's because of nuclear testing there, or he had to release tension in the tectonic plates, or it would have been worse, or whatever the case may be, right? I don't know the case. I don't know why it happened, but somebody like Benjamin Creme would know. And of course, somebody like Maitreya would know. Now, when you see him on TV, if he was talking about this problem as a for instance, he would not mention any of that, of why it happened karmically or cosmically. He would just be talking in a very simple way about what we need to do to help the people in that region, as a for instance, right? So to look and to try to listen to Maitreya to say something, kind of spiritually grandiose about something as, like a volcanic explosion in another country, in order to pick up that it's Maitreya, I don't think you hear those words come out of his mouth. He would just, oh, yes, we need to send aid to that country, or yes, this is how we could do, how we could help these people and what they need and all that kind of stuff. But he wouldn't be talking about, well, it's because of the cosmic thing of this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that would happen. So if people are trying to listen to people on TV to pick up whether they're Maitreya or not, or to get frustrated on the fact that they haven't heard anything or nobody's heard anything from Maitreya, doesn't mean that Maitreya is not on TV. It just means that you haven't picked up on Maitreya being on TV. You know, the times that I saw Maitreya, the majority of the time, there was somebody around at the time. And they didn't see him as Maitreya. They didn't even think to see him as Maitreya, but I recognized him as that, as who he was, based on what he said, based on his energy, the look that he gave me or whatever, or what he said about me, and, you know, that was very personal to me or whatever. But the people around at that time, they didn't have a clue. So why would it be any different with him being on TV now? Does that make sense? So do I think that, you know, Maitreya is on TV? Absolutely. Do I think that nothing has happened since the summer of '87? Well, that's just, you know, you got to open your eyes a little bit and look, you know. But also, too, you know, over the last 30 years, I would have to ask this person, you know, what have you done? Have you done anything to help solve the problems of the world? Because when you don't and you sit back and you wait, you become very critical. You become what they call in the sports field as the Monday morning quarterback that likes to criticize everything that their quarterback did or didn't do on Sunday, you know, but they weren't in the game playing, but they're very critical, right? And if you kind of just lose yourself in service, you stop being critical of what's going on, and you just kind of go on with helping out. Sooner or later, we're all going to have to do something. You know, country to country, you know, person to person, we're all going to have to do something to help solve these problems, right? You can't wait for Maitreya to be out on TV and then start. Might as well start now, right? I hope this helps. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.